What do you do when the ball doesn't go straight? How do you make ball go straight? How can we make go straight? Video going now. Hey everybody, welcome back to GolfTestDummy, the channel where I use my game to help your game. In the beginning, I guess you could kind of glean from my babbling that what we're talking about today is how to hit straight shots. Now, disclaimer, full disclosure before we get too deep into this video, many pros, touring pros and teaching pros, and Mr. Ben Hogan himself said that a straight shot is a fluke. It's a fluke when it happens. But you know what? Mr. Hogan would probably not argue that with Mo Norman because Mo Norman did hit everything straight. That's what he did. But for us regular people, us regular Joes and Jills out here that are trying to play golf, a straight shot is very difficult to have time and time again. What you should try and have is a one-way miss. A two-way miss is much harder to strategize with and play with than a one-way miss. If you hit a shot and you know that 99 times out of 100 that ball is going to take off to the right and come back to the left, you can play with that a whole lot better than somebody who sometimes draws it, sometimes slices it. You need that kind of consistency. So a one-way miss is best. But what I'm talking about here with a straight shot is a straight-ish shot. How do we get that? There's two big things that these simulators, these machines, GC Quad, TrackMan, even down to the Garmin R10, these launch monitors, there's two big things that I feel have helped to revolutionize golf for me and a lot of others out there. One of them is that it gives us great data on what the golf ball is doing, the flight, the spin, how it was impacted, how it was struck, but it also gives us data on the club in kind of the impact zone, the bottom couple of feet of the swing arc. I think it's either GC Quad or TrackMan. I can't remember which one because I can't afford a $500,000 machine. It's not really $500,000. Anyway, you put little dots on your club face and it helps determine if your club face is a little open or if it's a little closed or if it's square. You can tell the angle of attack. You can tell the launch angle of the golf ball. You can tell how much backspin it had. And there's one really crucial thing that you'll notice about all of the data. There is zero data on those machines about where your elbow was, or did you look at the golf ball too early. All it knows is what this club has done to that golf ball, because that's the most important thing. That golf ball has no idea what color, size, shape your hand is. It has no idea. It knows what this club face did to it before it took off screaming toward the target. It knows that. Now that's one thing that these machines have really taught us. The second thing that I feel is of amazing importance, and a lot of instructors out there agree that these machines have taught us, that the club face determines about 85% of where the golf ball is going to start. Meaning that if your club face, if you're a right-hander and you're standing on this side of the ball over here, and you come into the impact zone and your club face is a little bit open, that ball is going to start right. It's going to start right of your swing path, not the target line, of your swing path. That's the key. The real key to hitting straight-ish shots is to have your swing path and your club face's orientation to that swing path be as close to 90 degrees, perpendicular, square, whatever you want to call it, as possible. If you can get this to be dead 90 degrees to the swing path, it will go straight with no curve. It's kind of a unicorn. But if the club face is a little bit open as you come through to your path, if it's a little open to path, the ball's going to start right. If the club face is a little closed in relation to your path, the ball's going to start left. 85% of the golf ball's start line is influenced by the club face, meaning that from that you would think that the club face and getting the club face square is paramount. It should be the zenith, the pinnacle, the number one thing that you need to get correct in order to get straight-ish shots. So if we can get that club face square, that's going to help us produce straight-ish shots. But not all straight-ish shots are created equal, because straight can also be straight left, or it can also be straight right. How do you prevent that? How do you fix that? Well, that's your path. So the path, it needs to be fixed also. There's actually a good friend of mine who had a really wicked slice. And the only thing that he did to fix his swing path was to get one of those swing path trainer tools. It's like the piece of plexiglass with the foam pieces sticking off of it. And when you swing, if you come over the top or you have outside in or your swing path is way too much inside to out, you'll hit those foam pieces. They'll go flying and you'll have to go out on the driving range and pick them up and look like an idiot 1,000 times until you get it right. But that's what he did. He did that, and he does not have an outside in swing path anymore. That thing helped him figure out how that felt to go more down the line or a little bit inside out even, instead of that big over the top swing that he had. So there are ways to fix your path. What I want to help you work on is how do you fix your club face? All that golf ball knows is your club face was open at impact. So the most common cure that people get told is to get a really strong grip on there and turn it over. But when you do that, there's almost this counter effect that if you set up with the club face really closed or you take a really strong grip and you have that kind of over the top move, that what you'll do is you'll hold your hands off because square to you feels different than that. You'll be so scared you're going to hook it or hit it dead left that you'll actually counteract it and you'll open the club face. So then you start to make other compensations, other swing changes, when really all you need to do is this. It doesn't matter if you put your brain on this club face or on your left hand or on your right hand or on both hands or the back of this hand or the palm of this hand or the palm of that one. It really doesn't matter where you put your brain. But when you put your hands on this golf club, something in your brain connects with some part, the face, your hands, your palm, the back of your hand, whatever it is, something in you, you feel that and you think about it when you're swinging quite possibly. And if you don't, maybe you should try it. But if you think about the club face and you start off with the club face set in a nice square position, then when you bring the club in, you need to have it back in that same position. The problem is that you're swinging at a high rate of speed. You're probably losing a little bit of focus. As soon as you take the club away, your brain goes, oh, look, pretty birds. You start thinking other things. So there has to be some sort of connection to trying to get the club face square at impact. So if you put your hands on the club and you feel how your hand is, let's say, just for instance, you're going to use the left hand. If you think about the back of your left hand and you know that at address, the back of your left hand is right there, well, don't you want to return it right back to that? If you do that, then how is the club face going to not be square unless you've made some kind of manipulation or a twisting or you've let the club spin in your hand? Because if I keep that and I think about that relationship and I just make a little chip shot here, I know that ball's going to go straight because I was thinking about the back of my left hand and just getting it back to square at impact. Now you're going to swing through the golf ball, of course, but that little frame of reference, that little tidbit, if I come through and I leave my hand open and don't return it to the same position, it's going to go off to the right because I left it open. It's a really simple fix. It's a really simple trick to get your club face square at impact. Now, if, for instance, let's just say I think about that and I swing and I get my hand back to that, but I've swung way left, the ball is going to go straight left. So that's a path issue. The ball started left because my club face was aiming that way and I swung that way. I have to work on that. But if you can just get focused on returning that club face or that back of your hand or the palm of your right hand back to square at impact, and through the golf ball, that's going to help you a lot. Now, another thing that's really going to help you is to stop adding variables. Eliminate variables. Bryson DeChambeau is great at this. He is really great at eliminating variables. If you take the club away and you go toe up and you open the club face and come back down and you're trying to flip and roll and time your wrists, you're adding in variables that you have to time out. You're going to have good days and you're going to have bad days. But if you stop and you just take the club face away and try and keep the club face or the back of your left hand or the palm of your right hand or whatever it is you're thinking about, looking at the golf ball as long as possible, then it's going to be really hard for you to get it into a place where it's open or closed because it never left. It never left. If you roll this club like that, you've got to do something to get it back to be square. And if your timing is off a half a degree, it's not going to be good. So just keep it looking at the golf ball as long as possible. Keep the club face, your left hand, your right hand, both hands, whatever it is you use, keep it looking at the golf ball for as long as possible. It will not do that for the entire swing. But again, as long as possible, keep it square. And it's going to go fairly straight. It's going to go fairly straight. Straight-ish is all we're looking for, because straight, it's not necessarily a fluke, but there's easier hobbies out there. Straight-ish. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate you leaving me a thumbs up down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I got some stuff I'm working on coming up for the channel. Hope you enjoy it. Till next time, see you then.